month ago, the Habib Empire. The emperor addresses his ambassadors as he is outraged that they dared to rebel against the power of the empire and unleashed a war. He asked them to raise their heads and listen carefully to what he was about to say. His Majesty has every right to punish them all for this crime. But instead, so be it. He will impose a price for their crime, in the form of a tribute to each of the countries. Moreover, for the countries that did not take an active part, he will show mercy. Only in return, he asks the Holy Kingdom of Lorella to give them their princess. Meanwhile, the Kingdom of Lorella found out about this and considers it offensive. Demanding that they do this is no different from showing disrespect to them. Instead, they would even rather give any money. While people are indignant and her sister is sad that such circumstances can separate them, the girl has already made a decision. But first, she asked them to calm down. She wants everyone to hear her. Firstly, she intends to fulfill the request of the Empire, even if they now think that this is the wrong decision. Princess Rose speaks about it so calmly. This is what surprises people. They want to hear what guides her when agreeing to such a thing. Then she approached her sister to say that due to the rapidly changing situation, she had received another divine revelation in her dream. She wants to convey the fact that it may seem unfair now, but this event will greatly change the future of their kingdom. The sister's words carry weight because her twin, Rose, is the only princess with the divine power of foresight. Until now, with the help of this power, she protected the kingdom, the only way how she, who does not possess the power, can help. Lillian thought that since her sister was so sure, in that case, she would agree to go there instead of her to be useful, and Rose could take care of more important matters here. The year-old girl didn't expect her sister to take on this burden. She didn't even think it was possible. And Lillian reminded her that she was also a princess, and they didn't specify which one they were interested in. She asks the Rose to stay here and take care of the future kingdom as best she can. After this, the older sister began to believe that yesterday in her dream, she saw not herself, but Lillian. It was in a beautiful garden. A man and a woman were happily chatting with shining smiles. And if this dream is true, then there is a high probability that everything will be fine with Lillian's future. Lillian promised to do everything in her power, she will try, so that later she can remember with pride what she is capable of. It's time to do something useful. Usually, her sister would think about it, but the girl has grown up, and now wants to show that she is also interested in the prosperity of the kingdom. Lillian is so happy that her sister with divine powers is staying in the kingdom that no words can describe it. Meanwhile, being in the neighboring kingdom for only a couple of days, the girl realized that every subsequent day would be hell. She has already been accused of something she did not do, and they still reproach her for denying her crime without even blinking an eye. They put her in a cage and treat her in the most disgusting way. She has heard so much about herself in a short time, she didn't even know such words. They warned that not only would she be punished for what she had done, but her kingdom would also be held responsible. Lillian explains that the kingdom has nothing to do with this, just like she does. The guard just laughed. And after that, he asked if she really wanted to say that she attacked the emperor alone, and no one else helped her. The year-old girl wanted to explain everything again, to ask that she at least be heard. But at that moment, someone came and ordered everyone to remain silent. He says that from now on, he will personally handle this matter, and he doesn't need anyone's help. Since, only being with His Majesty the Emperor in one place, she somehow managed to harm him, it could be dangerous. So he supposedly, heroically lets everyone go and wants to stay here alone with her. Of course, she recognized him immediately. This is the Crown Prince of Shade, who cannot be confused with anyone else. At times there were fewer people here now. She asked him again if he really thought she was capable of what she was accused of, because in fact she had not laid a finger on the Emperor. The guy says that His Majesty was already weakened, so even without direct contact, there are many ways to harm him. And then asked to look at something. He has a question about why she carried this aromatic bag with her, to which Lillian replied that she had had it since childhood. And to herself, she thought, why is he suddenly asking about it? Shade realized for himself that she allegedly carried poisoned herbs with her since childhood, which can cause paralysis upon contact with the skin, and does not hide it. The year-old girl doesn't understand what he's talking about, and he adds that this plant actually causes a rash when it comes into contact with the skin. Depending on the person, Even inhaling this smell can lead to death, or at least other serious consequences.
He wants to know why she carried this with her, but she just can't believe that all these herbs could be poison.
The year-old girl is sure it's impossible, because her sister filled the bag. Lilin wants to be as honest with everyone as possible, so to understand the situation, she asks if it is poison, then why it did not affect her. And he says that from now on, she better answer carefully, because if she didn't know what was really in that bag, then she was also involved in someone's plan. Princes find it strange that only one of the princesses had divine powers. It is possible that she may also have some kind of power that makes her immune to poisons. If you think about it, she really never had any illnesses. And if you take into account that her sister and no one else, and she herself, do not know about her power, perhaps all this time they were trying to poison her or harm her, and she was saved by her own divine power. It's surprising that she didn't think about this before. If all this is true, it turns out that her sister is not at all who she claims to be. She can't believe that anyone from her family could want to get rid of her. Now her world has been turned upside down. The year-old guy saw that she had figured something out. So he asked her to tell him everything that might interest him, especially about her sister, who is apparently not as naive as she might seem. The girl didn't have time to say anything. Suddenly, the door opened sharply and screams began. The third empress enters. She asks His Majesty not to wait any longer and to quickly take the life of this witch. She, like everyone else, without understanding the situation, considers her an enemy, and in the meantime, reminds that there is no more time, and just quickly tell who gave her this poisoned aromatic bag so she can save herself and others. She was immediately flooded with memories and thoughts that this could not be. She considered her sister to be the closest and dearest person who could not harm her, even if it would be very beneficial for her. She will believe until the very end that this is some kind of misunderstanding, and she got it all wrong. But, to tell the truth, if you take off your rose-colored glasses and look the truth in the eye, it turns out that her sister was deceiving her for a long time. It was her carefully thought-out plan for her and the kingdom. Lilin was ready to give her life. But it turned out that this position was simply instilled in her, and used her loyalty and naivety as a tool to get their way. The girl mentally turned to the Almighty. If he gives her at least one chance, she will do everything differently, and will not make past mistakes. Just a moment passes. A very familiar sight appears in front of her, and it feels as if she has lost consciousness, and is now beginning to come to her senses. Near the window, the girl saw the woman who took care of her when she was a child. Gabriella is here, although she shouldn't be. She died many years ago. She can't even remember some moments with her, so it's unclear what's going on here. 5 years ago, twin princesses were born in Lorel, and people around were surprised how this was possible, because it was a very scary sign. In the kingdom, the princess twins, the same as the symbol of disaster. According to legend, they must be dealt with before their identities are revealed. When the assistant told the children's mother about this, the lady flatly refused to do anything bad to the children, because she was really looking forward to them. And if there were any problems, then she had a plan for this case too. She would simply raise them as one child. And when the woman asked what this meant, the year-old girl explained that one day she would be her daughter, and the next hers. They were supposed to raise 2 girls together. Their mother even asked a prophecy, and since that was the case, the assistant was immediately ready to devote herself to this. The woman thought that there must have been some reason why God had sent them these trials, and since she had not refused them, the lady was very grateful to her. Holy Kingdom of Lorella. In this country, where power belongs to the royal dynasty, endowed with divine power, something has long been considered taboo. Birth of twin princesses. This is connected with the story of twin princesses born long ago. In the past, the conflict between the twin princesses led to bloodshed in the kingdom. Fearing further division, the appearance of twin princesses in the kingdom became a symbol of misfortune. According to the cruel custom, they were to be destroyed immediately after birth. The mother of the girls, Queen Oblin, who gave birth to twins, worried and feared that a catastrophe could happen. Experiencing suffering and despair, received a special prophecy. If she gives birth to twins, she must raise them both. According to this prophecy, every day they were raised alternately, as a princess and a servant's daughter for decades, until reaching adulthood, hiding the truth even from her biological father. Looking back, the girl realizes that it was a terrible time. Neither side was ever truly her life. Maybe it was all because she always felt inferior compared to her sister. In the end, Lilin decided not to show that something was wrong. She would slowly find out what was going on, and now she was talking to her personal maid, Beatrice. Girl asks how old she is. It's good that when children ask such questions, it doesn't seem suspicious. Beatrice replies that Her Highness is 4 years old, but in 4 months she will turn 5. Well, since she's now 4.5, it's the perfect time to change a couple of events that have shaken her future. But first, we need to save Gabriella, who died from a terrible disease without even knowing about it. Now, the girl can call a doctor and save her in time. The only problem is that adults usually don't listen to children, so we'll have to come up with something about that. Suddenly, the lady asked another of her assistants to make her buns. Although, before that, she usually said that she did not like this kind of hairstyle. The girl was surprised, but still did what the child asked. In the past, she really hated this hairstyle, but now she doesn't need the appearance, but the ribbon that is used for these buns. Everything is thought out to the smallest detail. Meanwhile, her mother is talking to her advisor. This time, he came to her with the idea that perhaps more money should be allocated for the army and security should be strengthened. And if she has no objections, then he wants to ask her to sign the bottom of the document. But before doing this, the lady asks if the Count personally drew up the budget project. Assistant says that this is indeed the case, and after reviewing the project, he personally rechecked it and supplemented it. She says to this that it is then very strange. How could he even dare to provide such a trashy report to the Queen? Oblin is very angry, and the assistant wants to clarify which part caused her questions, because before it's too late, everything can be fixed. The Queen recalled that she had previously given clear instructions to cut unnecessary spending and increase budget funds for policies that benefit people. He begins to explain that, of course, he understands everything. Border protection is very important, and here she can't stand it. The Queen says that if he suddenly decided to deceive her with such nonsense, he will pay for it very soon. The year-old man promised to fix everything immediately, but she warned that if he did not provide the proper budget, he could consider this budget lost. While the assistant was literally flying out of her office, there was a maid with a child nearby. They both were a little scared because it was unexpected. Man flew by with such speed as if he was running away from some kind of monster that was chasing him. The maid thought that Her Majesty had probably brought the Count to tears again, as usual. This means that today it will be very difficult to greet him. He is probably not in the mood and is full of things to do. She said the same thing about the Queen, but the girl urgently needs to meet with her, no matter what anyone says. She is sure that her mother will be happy to stay with her for some time, no matter what mood she is in. Guards explain that Her Majesty is busy, so it will not be possible to visit her, even though she is her child. They started praying for her, and the girl ran further so that her mother would notice her sooner. She is sure that her mother will scold them now for forbidding the princess to enter this office. Those two had already begun to fear that they had done something wrong and could be punished. As soon as the girl saw this beautiful princess, she began to hug her and said how good it was that she came to please her. Today was a very difficult day. Without her, she would not have survived. And she also thought it was cute that Lilin had braided her hair into buns today, which Mom likes so much. As soon as my daughter asked how beautiful she was, my mother started hugging her so hard, as if she was about to eat her. As Lilin thought, Mom really likes this hairstyle on her. Who would have thought that it would be so effective? How good that she diligently prepared before coming. Now she just needs to take advantage of the moment. The girl turns to her and says that she wants to ask for something. And at that moment, the mother felt that she was being treated too seriously. Daughter warned that this was very important, so she would have to listen to her until the end. Mom was worried and was already asking if maybe it would be better if she listened first and then decided everything. After this, the manipulations began. The young lady threatened that first her mother must promise to do this, otherwise she would unbraid her buns. Lilin whispered in her ear that she thought Gabby was very ill and something needed to be done about it. She can't ask anyone else for help, since only her mother can invite someone or order. Meanwhile, the assistants are already whispering what is going on there and why they can't talk about it out loud. Ladies reported that the assistant had been coughing non-stop for several days, and apparently she had something serious. A normal illness would have passed long ago. Mom tries to calm her down, asks her not to get too upset and not to cry, and also began to clean up, that Gabriella is under special protection. She is going to send the court physician immediately, so there is no need to worry about that. Everything was fine until one moment when they reported that the Grand Duke of Nickel had arrived, is the girl's father, whom they rarely see. And when this happens, it is a very disturbing moment, and for everyone in the area as well. The queen resigned herself to this, and since she had to go, she asked her assistant to take the princess with him. The girl was already supposed to go when suddenly her mother held her hand and thought, why don't they go together and see her father after a long time? They agreed on this without any problems. The mother is happy that everything is so easy with the child, but she has no idea what is really going on around her. Suddenly, one of the guards asked for forgiveness because he was forced to say something. He was uncomfortable talking about it. But I had to remind her that she had a lot of work to do, so it was probably not advisable for the lady to be away for a long time. The girl already had a bad feeling. Her mother was determined. She really wanted to see the three of them and talk for a while. In the end, she decided to ask Lilin to go to her room and wait until she returned to her. The girl decided that it was impossible for it to end so senselessly. She said that she would go and meet him herself, because she had to show herself to him, at any cost. Mom asks how sure she is of this, since they have never met him alone before, to which Lilin said that everything will be fine. She can handle it. The queen praised her daughter for being so brave, but she would still be a little worried about her. Just in case, she asked her assistants not to go too far away, so that in case of anything, they would be aware of the situation. And then she said that ideally he would go there with her, and if there were any problems, he would immediately tell her about it. Only 3 people in the palace know about their existence: Mama, Gabriella, and Icarus. He is a trusted person, one of the trusted assistants, who knows much more than the rest of his colleagues. And he is also a straightforward and overly anxious person. Even now, when the girl accidentally fell, or rather stumbled, he was afraid that she might be hurt and started asking a lot of questions as if she had fallen from the 2nd floor. She tells him that everything is fine, but Icarus still believes that he should do everything so that she doesn't overexert herself. The guy took her in his arms, said that it was dangerous for her to stand on her feet anytime soon, and decided to report this incident to the Grand Duke. Sometimes his help causes more problems than good. He is one of those people who would even give his heart if it were his mother's order. And the one and only faithful dog in Lorella. In a past life, after Gabriella's death, he took care of them. And if someone found out that the girls were twins, he immediately got rid of unnecessary witnesses. In this regard, he was completely devoted to his calling. No one ever doubted him. This is how he earned his status as the main assistant, who can be entrusted with anything and have no doubt that any information he has will remain secret. The girl knew back then that he did it for them, but she doesn't like that too many people suffered because of it, who simply found out the truth. So in this life, she wants to guide him on a better path. As soon as he said that they had already arrived, she began to ask to be put on the floor, but it turned out not to be so easy. She explains that she has to go to her dad, and it won't be for long, so he doesn't have to worry about her so much. And she doesn't forbid him to be around. She just asks him to let her go. And in the end, he listened to her. The girl thanked him for this, promised to return soon, and also tried to pretend that her leg had miraculously stopped hurting. She did this so that he would not think later that the situation was getting worse, and would see how much easier it was for her. It is unlikely that he will believe it, but it is better to get rid of his attention by any means possible. And in the meantime, the lady is trying to open the door, but it doesn't work. She doesn't understand what's going on, doesn't answer, and is already hitting her with all his strength with his fists, and he is watching from the side. In the end, he couldn't ignore it. He came up to help, and this is the first time all day that his help was really useful. It was very nice, but the girl began to fear that from that moment on, he would follow her everywhere to help open doors, and she didn't need that. Finally, she walked into her father's office, and as soon as he saw her, he looked at her as if he saw an angel in front of him. The man asks if she really came to see him alone, without her mother, and she can't answer anything. because she's happy that he's standing in front of her now.
She just wanted to talk to him, but Icarus interrupted her. For some reason, he decided that it wouldn't hurt to mention that he needed to give a report.
Since, on the way here, the princess fell in the corridor and hurt herself. Only the princess herself is unhappy that he even raised this topic. He definitely should have stayed in the hallway. She somehow didn't control when he came in with her, especially since her father is already worried about how to communicate with his daughter, and the assistant decided to put even more pressure on him. The Duke began to ask how the girl was feeling, and asked if he could hug her. But suddenly the assistant told him that it was better not to do that. The princess breaks away from him, and says that she is fine, and if he doesn't let her go now, she will complain to her mother, because this is too much. She decided for herself that no one and nothing would stop her from talking to her dad right now. Lilin once accidentally called him dad. The Duke heard it and reacted as if he was hearing it for the first time. He is so pleased that he doesn't even know how to say it. This moment was the best one for him in a long time. He hadn't smiled like that for a long time, and it turned out that it didn't take much. The most basic thing that could happen. Just think, he looks at her with such eyes because of one word. Now the girl understands that since she was little, her father always missed her and was waiting for this moment. Once, he spent too little time with her, but the girl mistakenly thought that he did not need her or that he did not love her. In fact, he was just afraid to play with such a fragile little person. For him, she was a little angel, whom it was scary to even touch. He thought that his hands were too rough for her soft body, that his gaze and tall stature could frighten her. And there were many such moments. Sometimes, when it did happen, it was the most wonderful moment in his life. He touched something beautiful and thought that he didn't deserve it. Father was madly waiting for the moment when she would finally grow up, and then he would not only give her his hand, he dreamed of hugging her completely, very tightly, so that she would feel his love. He was gentle and warm towards her from the first days she appeared in this beautiful world. But the girl, in turn, was also very afraid. Only a little differently. She did not want him to find out that she and her sister were twins. So she kept her distance from him, even when she grew up. She enjoyed watching how happy he looked when she looked at him and smiled. Meanwhile, Lilin was waiting for this moment so much that she couldn't control herself and burst into tears, and everyone around thought it was because of him. Father was worried that he could frighten her with his appearance, but he only knew that this was not the case at all. He apologized to her, and promised that from now on he would be more careful. He even prepared a gift, but decided to leave it for another time. Because no one understands what is really happening to her, she feels even worse. The girl dreams of talking to him without tears, but they roll down on their own. The assistant decided that the meeting should end there. The Duke agreed, and the girl was outraged that she had not been able to do anything she had planned. She's already mad at herself that her child version is so whiny, everything is going against the plan. It feels like the child's tears never stop. She didn't want to cry. It all happened, somehow, on its own. It would have been so great if he could hug her at least once, but she ruined it all herself. So the next person she has to meet, the assistant has already met him and came to tell him that he is already here. She says that the young lady has visitors, so she needs to get ready quickly and meet them. These are the children of the Marquis of Hestia, whom she met earlier. They came to see her. Girl understands that this could be her chance. As soon as she said it out loud, after that she had to pretend that the maid just imagined it. I wonder if she should even try to get along with him this time, because there is a chance it will be a mistake. There is no choice. The girl decided on this. These two are the son and daughter of the family of the Marquis of Hestia, with whom you need to somehow try to befriend. Hestia's brother and sister, Rose's closest allies, dominated Lorella's high society. Wow, even these monsters were so small and cute in childhood, at least at first glance. Marquisate Hestia, Lorella's main source of funding, owns the largest trading guild on the eastern continent. In her past life, Rose had complete control over them, and Lilin never got to meet them. But in this life, she is not going to give up. Everything will be different, not like the first time. Now the question arises whether she can cope with this as well as her sister.
and in the meantime, the girl greets them and tries to smile. Suddenly, the guest started running towards her, and she also attacked as if she saw a friend whom she had not seen for a long time. It was very sweet on the part of the people. I can't even believe that in the future they could become enemies. Victoria turned out to be a very nice person. She took the initiative when meeting people, and this makes things much easier. Gray didn't even expect this from her. He felt a little awkward at that moment. After all, they were two girls, and he was the only boy among them. He says that they are honored to meet the Little Star Kingdom, and are not touched that she remembers their names. She herself wanted to make as good an impression as they had. She took out her favorite candy from her pocket and offered them a treat, promising that these were some of the most delicious sweets they had ever tasted. They felt a little awkward, and the girl said that she wants to give them all away because they are now her friends. They thanked her and thought about whether it would be worthwhile to wait with their friendship. After all, they had not known each other for that long, and it would probably be wrong to agree so quickly. Princess says that she personally would be happy to ignore all these formalities and start communicating as if they were seeing each other for a long time. She really doesn't like to hold back when it comes to friendship. They are still children and can do more than adults. There is no need to be too polite or maintain any kind of authority here. With children, everything is much simpler. The main thing is to be friends and have fun doing it. They communicate well, but the girl still notices that they are a bit shy. When communicating with them, it feels as if there is still some kind of line between them that cannot be crossed. In any case, she will still try to do everything possible so that in the future, they become best friends and cannot imagine their life without each other, even if it is not sincere on her part. The moment has come when they must say goodbye. Victoria literally cannot come to terms with this. She began to stick like Velcro. She even kissed her on the cheek, pressing her so close as if she was saying goodbye to her mother or brother. Maids watched all this and still can't hold back their tears because it was too cute. Even though the guy isn't exactly thrilled about it all, the girls found a connection, and that's great. So much has happened, and it's only the first day. And yet, Lilin is proud. It seems like she's made a lot of progress on her journey. Inspired and feeling empowered, she began to write down her next goals for her second life. She now knows more specifically what she wants and what she needs to do to achieve it. Naturally, first of all, we need to save Gabriella. Mom said she would send a doctor to her, but she still wants to watch her. Life in the palace will be calmer only if Gabriella is okay. Next, the most important thing is the words of the Crown Prince that he said back then. Why was everything okay with her when she carried poisonous herbs with her? Why did Rose put poisonous herbs in her aromatic bag? This needs to be sorted out. You need to review everything in order so as not to miss anything and not waste a lot of time. She tried to make some notes, but something started to interfere. These were some inexplicable sensations that could not have appeared just like that. She had never had anything like this before. My wrist started to tingle so much that it was impossible to hold anything in my hand, much less write anything down with it. Maybe it's because of that fall this morning in the hallway. Apparently the assistant was right. She seriously injured her arm. Only the feeling of pain somehow seems very familiar. In a past life, Rose did everything to prevent her sister from getting hurt. In this regard, there was a lot of attention and care. She even covered her sister with herself, so that not a single fragment would fall on her. At first, the girl did not notice anything unusual in this, and thought that it was ordinary love, which manifests itself like this between sisters. And then the realization comes to her that perhaps her sister knew that Lilin had healing abilities, and didn't want her to find out about it. If my sister had some kind of injury, and she noticed that it was quickly disappearing, she would understand everything. And since it was not profitable for her, she tried to do everything possible to remain one of them who has an unusual ability. The fact that she had been carrying poisoned herbs with her since childhood, the fact that she was fine without any side effects. This is all a plan to deceive her, which will not work this time, no matter how hard the sister tries. The gift of healing is the power to restore life. Among all divine gifts, it is revered above others as the true quality of a monarch. Rose was afraid that it would be revealed that her sister had this power, as it would threaten her position. During the divination ceremony when she was 7, there was only one princess, so only Rose was present. From that moment on, she began to take care of her. Apparently, it was then that she learned from the oracle about the divine power of Lilin, but still didn't say a single word to her. And now it's very offensive to find out about it.
How could her sister hide the truth from her, pretending to care for her? It's just hard to believe.
The girl became curious about how much she had lost in her past life because of this deception. She will no longer allow anything to be stolen from her, and will also return to herself everything that she was unable to enjoy in her past life. Late in the evening, Gabriella came to her. She reminded it that the day was coming to an end and suggested going to the second palace. The girl asked if her sister was sleeping, and the assistant replied that she was not yet, and then asked why she was asking. When they were little, because of their mother's orders, they couldn't even talk normally. But now, something needs to be done about it. She explained that she wanted to tell Rose something. The woman thought she would have to convey some message, but the lady explained that she wanted to tell her personally, and asked her to allow her to do it once. If she leaves everything as is, the Rose will try to use her again. But now, it is impossible. In this life, Lilin will not allow her plans to come true. This is her main goal and mission, from which she will not retreat until she completes it. Gabriella asked to promise her that she would come out as soon as she said what she wanted, otherwise she could be fired for such a scam. Since this is the princess's request, she will give her 1 minute, but under no circumstances more. Assistant begs her to be careful and not make noise. They agreed on this, and finally, the young lady promised that everything would be fine. There was no need to worry about her. They would just talk a little, and that's all. The girl is very happy that they have such a relationship, that she can even ask for such risks. A little later, she will definitely thank you for this. But now, you need to do everything quickly, and not get distracted. Lady initially did not plan to speak for long. Today, she will limit herself to a light warning. Only when she entered the room, she did not think that something would surprise her so much. She wanted to say what she wanted right away, but she saw her sister in some strange position, as if she was hiding from someone. Became curious about what she was doing there. The girl decided to watch from the side, and not rush to say that she was there. Rose cries because she doesn't know where to hide the one thing that doesn't fit anywhere. She needs it to be hidden, but it is so bright that it immediately catches the eye, even under the bed. Is the very mirror that their mother treasures so much. It looks like she broke it, and is afraid to admit it. She doesn't know what to do and is afraid to upset her mother because she might scold her severely for this. This is the first time my sister sees her so excited. Apparently, she has a side to her that no one sees. I need to think about what to do. She came to tell her everything she thinks. But seeing her in such a state, she felt sorry for her. The girl thought that she just needed to take it and do it. And what would become clear along the way, she ran up to her, and the Rose was so scared, as if she had been caught in the act of committing some crime. When she showed up to her, Rose started to panic. She asked what her sister was doing here and why she didn't knock before entering. Lillian didn't think about asking this in a more gentle way. She just asked the question as it was. Did the Rose really break this mirror? Girl started to tell that she didn't touch it. It was standing there and fell down on its own. But it wasn't true like that. Lillian is surprised how her sister can lie so obviously. She just saw everything with her own eyes. She is disgusted by the fact that in the past she was so naive and believed even in such situations. Rose starts threatening that she will tell her mother that it was Lillian who broke the mirror, and this is too much. At this moment, Gabriella comes in. A minute has already passed, so she urgently needs to take the girl from here and leave with her as quickly as possible. And they might also get into trouble if they scream so loudly, especially at a time when everyone is sleeping. The girls started apologizing to her. They understand that they could have set her up, so they promised that this will not happen again. And then the woman noticed that one of them was holding in her hands the very mirror that Her Majesty treasured so much. Everyone knows that it was a valuable gift from the continent, which was very dear to her. And now it is in such a state that she could be very upset about it. Gabriella asks how this happened and why they took him without permission in the first place. Lillian could have told the truth, punished her sister and done nothing, but something inside her snapped. And she started defending her, saying that it was her fault, although in fact it was absolutely not true. The girl says that she just wanted to look, but it slipped out of her hands, and now she is very sorry. She also said that she and her sister were just discussing what to do, and she herself wonders why she is even doing such a thing. Lillian took the blame and responsibility, and even deceived Gabriella, although she had never done this before. The woman is, on the one hand, upset, but on the other hand, pleasantly surprised that the girl has learned to take responsibility for her actions. So there is something good in all this. Lilin promised to tell her mother everything, but she doesn't even look at her sister, and doesn't see how she reacts to this. Probably doesn't want to embarrass her, although why would she?
Gabriella, I thought that it would be undesirable for them to hold the fragments in their hands, so I asked them to give them to me. This whole situation is very ambiguous. It is difficult to understand what Lilin is trying to achieve, and whether she will regret it. Gabriella must escort Princess Rose to the main palace, and Lilin asked to avoid adventures. She will return to her soon.
I wonder what Rose is thinking now. Is she going to confess, or at least thank her sister for such an act?
At the very least, after she yelled at her and threatened to cheat on her mom, Lillian shouldn't have done that at all.
The girl had only one question in her head. Why did I do this? Rose was deceiving her with sweet words all the time and pushed her to her death. She hates her so much. But with all this, she still saw that she had problems and couldn't turn away from her. Something made me help her. But it's still unclear what it was.
Meanwhile, only a couple of minutes passed, and Gabriella returned, although it should have taken much longer.
The girl asks why she is so fast, to which the assistant saw that the princess forgot her cape, and they had to go back. When Lilin gave her the cloak, the woman bent down and very quietly asked about that situation. She somehow found out that it wasn't her who broke the mirror, and asked her to honestly admit why the girl decided to take the blame. The young lady didn't really have time to answer anything. Gabby began to rejoice that she had raised such a good girl, and admitted that she was touched by the warm heart of her highness. Lilin asked her for only one thing, to keep it a secret. The woman agreed. Because, in principle, everything else is unimportant. The main thing is that the girl did as her heart told her. After some time, the girl thought that she was so sure that she came for revenge, but in the end, everything turned out the other way around. It seemed to her that it was still too early to hate her completely. I just wonder if there was any role left that she didn't know about.
Times now that time has turned back, she wants to fix their relationship before everything goes wrong. And the main thing is that she doesn't change her mind later. Rose is not as simple as it seems. It requires an approach that still needs to be found. Healing power, which Lilin didn't even know about in her past life. Relationships with her parents, if she can figure everything out, including her relationship with her sister, then she can create a new future. A few days later, the main palace, the girl went out early because she fell asleep early yesterday. She opened her notebook and began to look at what she needed to do right now. She has her own schedule for each day. Is on the list. Protect Gabby while she restores relations with her family, and this includes the correct guidance of Rose. It's hard to imagine what needs to be done for this. She didn't describe her plan in such detail. This will take some effort. For all this, you need to know about her divine power, namely, when she first appeared. They say that princesses experience this at the age of 7, considering that the rose was so wary. To this force, it may have been quite powerful, and most likely that is exactly what it was. While she was thinking about this, someone's feather fell right in front of her. A little later, a cat ran up to this place, which clearly had something to do with it. He was chasing some bird. The girl thought he wanted to eat her and ran to save that little bird. She seemed so defenseless to her that the lady would definitely not pass by, although it was a little scary to approach the cat. She swung her notebook at him and then began to examine the bird to understand whether it made sense to save it. Suddenly, it was too late. The girl thought that in any case, it wouldn't hurt to explain to him that this shouldn't be done. And then she realizes that he is not playing. He is very hungry and is not going to listen to anything about whether it is possible to do this or not. He wants to get his prey. Her method didn't work. Now it's doubly scary to approach him. Lilin doesn't give up. She tells him that if he's so hungry, she can bring him other food. And he scratched her as soon as she touched him. And it was not a joke, but for real, very hard and painful. The girl regretted that she had ever approached him. From that moment on, she would begin to be more careful with animals, and would also become less friendly towards cats. They don't know how to control themselves when they're hungry, so it's best not to approach them at that moment. Next time, she'll definitely take that into account. The lady looked towards the chick, and when she saw that it was moving, she almost cried.
He is so small and defenseless that she cannot just leave him here and go about her business.
After she tried to save the chick, he, although unable to, began to defend her in response.
Even a small chick tries to protect the one who helped him, the rules of some animals. In her past life, Lilin was just waiting for someone to protect her and fight for her. Hiding behind her sister's back, she didn't even try to shake the cage she was locked in. She just limited herself, thinking that she couldn't change anything. These thoughts pushed her to finally end this, and for the first time in her life, stand up. If not for herself, then for this little bird. She rushed to her to cover her with her body, and she didn't care whether she was scratched or not. With the same mindset as before, she won't be able to protect herself or anyone else. That's what she realized. Everything happened very quickly. At that moment, the girl felt that she had finally taken control of the situation. She even liked it, because it turns out that she did a good deed, saved the life of a little bird. She promised her that even if it hurt, even if there was a pack of cats around, the bird would be safe. In the past, even when she was in pain and injured, she always thought she was not good enough. Relying on the prophecy, she knew nothing and only trembled helplessly in utter loneliness. Now everything will be different. We can consider that today she took a small step, and then it will only be easier to move on. Lilin realized that running away from fear wouldn't solve anything. If she prepared herself and faced it head on, then maybe one day she could win. She somehow managed to get the cat to let go of them. He turned around and walked away. The girl feels that he understands her, so she said afterwards that even if he comes back, she will meet him face to face again as many times as it takes. She wonders, after she won, if it will help her take a step away from her past self. The girl decided for herself that it was better to gradually transform than to try to grab everything she wanted at once. After some time, she begins to hear her maid, who was just searching for her. Previously, there was a rule between them that she could not walk alone, especially without warning where she was going. The maid asks what happened to her clothes, and she clearly doesn't want to admit it. She doesn't want Gabriella to know about this, so she had to pretend that everything was fine, although from her appearance it was clear that something had just happened here. Then she couldn't hold back, and said that she had just literally fought for the life of this chick, and she was also very sorry that he lost consciousness, and now it was unclear what would happen to him next. She really wants to cure him and pay him back for it. She is definitely not going to leave him. Assistant suggested going with her to the doctor to have the bird examined, in case there was nothing serious and it was not too late to help. The chick was at the doctor's for more than half an hour. Words cannot describe how afraid the child was to hear something bad, but fortunately, there was nothing serious with him. The doctor was able to bandage the wound and give him the medicine that was available, but he is not recommended to fly for a while. We will have to monitor his condition. Assistants offered their help. She is free recently, so she will have time to do this. It seemed that the situation was resolved, but the girl herself wanted to watch him. She says that since she brought him here herself, she wants to take care of him personally, and if possible, she would be happy to take him to her room. She was allowed to do this. The adults simply saw how important it was for her to be with him and how she treated him, so they could not allow themselves to decide otherwise. Lilin thinks that the wound will not heal quickly because he fought so fiercely with that cat. She even mentally addressed the chick and said that if she had divine power, she would heal him. Unfortunately, she can only watch him, and this upsets her greatly. Time passed, the next day came, and here he wakes up early in the morning. His chirping is so cute that it feels a little weird to call him a chick now. The girl wanted to come up with a name for him. She called him Pee-Pee, and he didn't seem to mind. Lilin says that if he has forgotten, then from now on she will protect him, will always be there, and no one will dare to hurt him again. She became interested in how that cat got into the palace at all. If the guards had seen him, they would have driven him away long ago. Then she asked if anyone took care of him like she does. But that's a strange question. He's a bird after all. Lady thought that in order to protect him, she would have to deal with all this gradually. Meanwhile, that same night in Rose's chambers, Gabriella thanked her for her hard work and said that she hoped the girl would be able to rest well tomorrow. Finally, the young lady remembered that situation with the mirror. She wants to thank the assistant for helping them, Thanks to her, their mother did not scold them. The woman replied that there was no need for gratitude, because Her Majesty valued princesses much more than some mirror. And after that, she asked to rest and not think about it. The girl asked to be careful on her way back, and in the meantime, literally a minute later, a year entered this room, which is very similar to the one her sister dealt with today. And Rose also called him Joy, which means that he did not come here by accident. The girl asks why he is so disheveled and in a bad mood, and he calmly comes closer, as if he is her pet, and not just a cat from the street. Roses decided to comb him, asked him to come closer and listen to her new story. The girl very quietly confessed to him that, in fact, she had recently broken her mother's favorite mirror. But her sister covered for her and said that she did it. She really wants him to say what he thinks is the reason why she did it. Lilin then acted so uncharacteristically nice, especially after she said that she wanted to set her up. She is almost sure that someone asked her to help her. Otherwise, she would not have done this. Then she called Gabriella names because the woman believed Lilin. Apparently, this was another plan of the girl to set up her sister, but nothing worked out for her. When she felt better, she said that she knew that Joy would always be there for her, because she was much better than her sister. This time she decided to leave everything as it was, but only this time as an exception, and if she tried to act nice again, she would regret it. She will personally punish her for this, as if she doesn't hear what she's saying and how strange it sounds. A few days later, at the royal palace of Lorella, it is reported that His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen have arrived. Girls were glad that she woke up early today. She managed to have another important meeting. She came to show her dad what sounds her bird makes, but he didn't expect that from her. No one told him that the girl had a little bird, but he was glad in any case that she hadn't forgotten about him and had come to share such wonderful moments. She is still a little awkward with her dad, but she wants to increase the time of their conversations, even if not much, even if they are not important and not serious. Lilin told them about her decision, that she would go with her everywhere so that she would not be attacked by that cat again. Mom also decided to look into the matter since her daughter was so worried. She promised to also look for this cat, and if necessary, she would drive him out of the territory. But this is only in the event that it is impossible to retrain him, or he turns out to be too rabid. After some time, Icarus came to report what he had found out about the cat. Firstly, he was incredibly aggressive, so much so that even the maids did not dare approach him. And also, according to the palace doctor, the princess's clothes were badly torn. After these words, the girl's mother asked him to stop, and then asked if she understood correctly that Lilin almost got hurt because of him. He says that it can be said that it was quite possible, but the queen said that it was impossible for even one wound to appear on the body of their beloved princess, and then clarified that this was an order, and it would also be advisable to strengthen security so that this cat could not get close to the children. And not only that, there is also a need to increase the number of guards in public places, such as the garden. After this, she urgently needed to check if the rose was injured. Suddenly, something had happened to it too, and she was afraid to tell it about it. Mom opens the door to the room, and the first thing she sees is that same cat and her daughter in a completely calm environment. Girl asks what happened. Mom ran to her so quickly, without even warning that she wanted to talk. Mom asks only not to say that it is she who takes care of him, after which Rose said that this is actually her friend Joy. They met just recently, and now they have become friends. The queen thought that it was probably a coincidence, and that it wasn't this cat that injured her second daughter. So she warned Rose that a dangerous animal was roaming the estate, and that they were already looking for it, since Lilin almost got hurt because of it. Just in case this turns out to be the same cat, Mom asked me to take him in for a while to check everything out. Rose doesn't allow him to be taken away. She says that he is her friend and he hasn't done anything bad. During this time, there hasn't been a single scratch from him, and she can prove it. Her Majesty tries to carefully explain that one cannot be so sure in advance. She is just going to check and return it back, and promised that it will not take much time. The girl also claims that even if Joy really did hurt someone, that's not a reason to take him away from her. And she also said that everything probably happened because her sister made him angry first. To this, the mother replied that the reason why this cat is dangerous is not only this. She heard that he chased birds many times, and injured them. She understands that this may be the most common natural instinct, but it also means that he can attack people at any moment. Even if it may seem to her that the code is absolutely harmless and listens to her, it is better to keep a distance from him. He is still an animal, and it is never possible to predict what is on his mind. Rose is outraged that just because her sister almost got hurt, she has to break up with her friend. The girl refused to obey her mother. She is ready to argue with her as much as she wants that Joy is a good cat, as they all call him. Rose has never behaved like this before. She is not going to let the cat go, no matter what anyone says. After her mother asked her about this, the girl began to perceive them all equally and closed herself off even more. What she dislikes most is that they all only listen to what Lilin says and always take only her side, especially Gabriella. She urgently wants to come up with something about this because this can't go on. At some point, they suddenly changed places and she didn't notice how it happened. Mom was upset that they couldn't find a compromise, and at the end, she said that she didn't know that Rose was such a stubborn child. Girls were upset in the same way. It hurt them to hear that their mother was disappointed in them. She tried to catch up with her, but accidentally tripped, and the cat immediately ran away from her, as if he took advantage of the moment. Mom was worried about her, but the girl says that she is fine now. What is much more important is where Joy ran. She didn't think that he would leave her alone at all. He stopped at the window and looked as if they were no longer friends. Then he jumped out into the street, thereby only further offending her at a time when everyone was already against her. She hadn't felt so lonely in a long time. She wanted everyone to leave her alone. Most of all, Rose is afraid that he understood from the words and may never return again, so as not to harm anyone. It's very interesting to see how this situation will turn out. So far, everything is working out in a way that benefits only one of the sisters, and this time, it's not a Rose. Lilin, once again, because if it weren't for her, she would be the only one here, and not the second plan. Meanwhile, that same night, in Lilin's chambers, she was already thinking about resting, and thinking about her own things. But she had unexpected guests. Joy, who shouldn't have been here at all, sneaks into the room through the window. He saw a bright box on the table, and thought that the bird was definitely there, but would he create problems this time too? The chick doesn't suspect anything. It's resting on a soft little pillow, and is now completely defenseless. It so happened that at that very moment, when the cat was here, the girl went out for water. And when I returned and asked Pee-Pee how he was feeling and didn't hear an answer, I took a closer look. And then I saw that, firstly, the chick was sleeping, and secondly, next to him was someone who could attack him. She couldn't believe her eyes and began to attack him just like he did yesterday. Lucky that this time she thought to bring bags with a special smell that cats don't like. She ordered him to leave here immediately. Otherwise, she would call everyone who was ordered to watch him here. And then the girl thought that if you take into account that the room is quite far from the garden and the streets, and also that he came all this way, it means that he is not just looking for prey. He clearly has some other goal that is difficult to figure out so quickly. It's strange why he would go so far for a small bird when there are plenty of other easy prey on the street. Gabriella is helping her with this. She washes her hair in a luxurious bathroom, and Lilin herself warms up in warm water. This is her favorite thing to do in the morning. A woman asks Her Highness how the water temperature is, to which she replied that everything is just perfect. You couldn't imagine anything better. She couldn't sleep a wink last night, all because of that cat who could come back at any moment. The woman noticed that something was bothering the girl, so she asked what was wrong, and the lady began to tell, for the cat that attacked Pippi. So he can walk in shadows, and yesterday he went a long way and made his way into her room, which only attracted more attention to himself. Gabriella never thought that cats could do this. Lilin was also surprised and now knows that it turns out that this is true. The assistant is worried that the child might have gotten hurt, and also suggests that since she and Princess Rose look very similar, perhaps the cat simply confused them. Girls don't understand what this has to do with anything and how it could be connected. And since that's the case, the woman decided to say something. She heard that this is her sister's cat. At least, she spends time with him every evening before going to bed. And this may mean that she is his owner. The girl didn't even guess about it. She couldn't even imagine that he was here not for the first time. For some reason, it seemed to her then that he just got lost and ended up on their territory. And it was like this. If this is really Rose's cat, then the situation changes dramatically. Now there is at least some clue. It is possible that his sister could have sent him to that room to bully the chick to ruin Lillian's mood. And then the girl has another thought. Since that cat attacked the little chick, and not other larger birds, this could mean that he wanted something specifically from him, so everything is not as simple as it may seem. Perhaps the peepee is an unusual bird. This needs to be sorted out somehow when there is time. The very next day, she took it to her teacher, who should be well-versed in this matter. Sylvia is always happy to help. She is one of my favorite teachers, and she's also very smart and can find an answer to any question. Sylvia says that it is rare to see a bird with such bright plumage. At least, for this reason, it can be considered special. She can't say for sure, but she remembers a similar bird. And suddenly, a sudden question sounded. She asked the girl, "What is the name of the sun god? One of the 5 gods of the kingdom." Lilin. She thought that it was class time, after all, and they would talk about PP later. But in the meantime, she started thinking, because she definitely felt like she should know the answer. And so she says that this is the sun god Shamash. And after that, Sylvia asked if Lilin guessed why she asked such a question. According to myths, the god Shamash was accompanied by a phoenix. The god Shamash, like the sun, watched over Lorella from above, and next to him was always a phoenix shining like a dazzling firework. So the phoenix is considered a symbol of goodness in the kingdom. The teacher thinks that this is a bit similar to their situation. Here is what she had to say about it. Thoughts of the girl at this moment, the bird of the sun god. But Pippi also loves to ride on her shoulder. Only she doesn't quite believe that this is possible. How can Pippi actually turn out to be a phoenix? He is weak and small. Finally, the teacher asked if she could help to understand this issue, and the lady answered that of course, and anyway, he, especially the bird, so she will continue to take good care of him. She incredibly enjoys watching him get better. Watching him get better. All the efforts were not in vain, and now Pippi can fly freely around the room, as before. The girl never ceases to be happy about this. She even wanted to take care of someone else. He started circling around the room, attracting attention to himself. Although there is a lesson going on now, and he sees it. Pippi is too persistent this time. He clearly wants to be alone here with her. He doesn't just fly fast, but distracts them as much as he can. Lilin felt very awkward in front of the teacher. They were wasting her time, but they could be doing something useful. She is already trying to calm her bird down, but it is useless. Pippi is only becoming more active. Sylvia guessed that he probably wants her to leave here and let them be together, but the girl doesn't even know what to say to this. She understands that this is so, but is afraid to agree. In this case, since nothing can be done about it, the woman suggests ending things for today, although she usually rarely makes concessions in this regard. It turns out she didn't just make this decision so easily. In fact, she simply didn't have time to say that the young lady had guests, and they would have had to cut the lesson short anyway. Children from the family arrived: Hestia, Victoria, and Gray. But no one warned her about this. Although she is not thrilled about it, she is very happy to leave class early and show everyone her chick. Now they are already walking with their assistant down the corridor to meet the guests, and for some reason, at this very moment, she is in a great mood. Girl feels a lot of energy inside herself, which will need to be spent usefully. She is already thinking ahead whether she should ask them about Pippi, in case they know something about it. And she also asked the chick if he wanted to meet her friends, because if not, she would easily find him a place where he could wait for her. In the end, they went to them together. Pippi was not against it. And at the end, the assistant wished them a wonderful time with their friends. Lilin listened, and after that decided for herself that at least while she was with them, she would try not to think about friend. Chapter Jumper, this is a great opportunity to improve their relationship. They should already be somewhere here. They won't have to look for long, and in a minute, they already came running as soon as they saw her on the horizon. They are so happy to see her that they can't contain their emotions. Victoria is more emotional, and her brother is trying to contain himself. They give off good energy that you really want to recharge and feel what it's like. They started complimenting each other. Victoria, like that time, pounced on her because she had been really bored all this time and was waiting for this moment. So they didn't notice that she had some kind of bird on her head and couldn't help but ask who it was and why it was there. The girl started introducing them. She called Pippi her best friend, and after that he even waved to them, as if he understood everything. And then Victoria says that she knows who it is, and that's already very interesting. She called the chick a phoenix, and that's exactly what she wanted to hear from her. The girl, of course, couldn't believe her ears, but it seems Victoria understands this. Is it really true that in the eyes of other people, he really looks as much like him as the teacher said? Lilin didn't say anything to this. She still wasn't entirely sure that it could be believed. So she simply introduced him as her friend, and asked him to get along well with him. Gray called her amazing after that, last time she tamed a cat. And now. They arrived, and she developed an ability. Now all the animals follow her, as if she had bewitched them. Then they spoke for Joy, and then the princess asks if she heard everything correctly, and they just said this name. Is this really the same one she knows? The faithful follower who was as faithful as the children of the Hestia family. Joy Terra Eve, a servant of the earth god Terra. In a past life, after Rose met the oracle, he followed her like a shadow. Then and now, the girl has no idea what he was doing. But looking back, she thinks that the Rose began to change after meeting him. Of course, it could be the most ordinary coincidence that they have the same names. But that cat is still somehow strange. Caution in all of this certainly won't hurt, but now you need to devote time to your friends, and then everything else. In the end, it turned out that they couldn't get away from the topic, and so the girl asks the guys if they felt uncomfortable when they were dating this guy. Victoria said that, in fact, Joy used to be a wild animal, so he could have been scared. Then they found it suspicious that the cat followed only her, considering that they have a very fickle nature. And Gray, although he didn't want to say it, still admitted that even if it sounds strange, he has a suspicion that the cat Joy is actually a human. Everyone was thinking about this, but he spoke out loud, and now it became even more interesting to discuss him. Boy reads that the cat is very similar to a shy child who is afraid to show his true self. It is possible that he has his own thoughts. Every time a bird flies by, he looks at the sky. But it does not look like he is hungry. It looks more like he is looking for something. It turns out that he may have been specifically targeting Pee-Pee. He was waiting for a chance to attack. Gray's words are true then. Regardless of his identity, it is too alarming, and something urgently needs to be done about it. Lilin, of course, thanked them for telling her this, but she herself thinks that if the cat wanders around the yard on its own, it is very dangerous. After a while, she wanted to ask them something else, and they happily agreed to answer any questions. The girl said that the problem is that Joy recently caused a commotion in the kindergarten, and the problems after that are still being solved by both the parents and those who work there. And that's why she tries to keep her distance from him. So she asks you not to be surprised that sometimes she won't play with him. Victoria heard this and immediately started calling Joy bad, and her brother asked her not to speak like that. After all, he is a friend of the second princess. In the end, Lilin is basically happy with how and what they discussed, and now she needs to find out more about this cat and be on guard. A few days later, the garden and the palace. Since then, the princess has not heard news about him, but this does not mean that she did nothing. The goal of this life is to drag the family to her side. But when she started thinking about it, a man appeared that no one was expecting here. Icarus was supposed to be doing its own thing, but he was here, so the girl couldn't help but ask what was going on. He says that His Majesty ordered him to protect the princess, even if she doesn't like something. It's so awkward that she can't concentrate. It took her a while to stop worrying about him. Also remembered that in this life, she had long ago decided to guide him along the right path. And in the meantime, she asked if he could help her. The guy asks what he can do for her, and she says that she really wants to make a bouquet for her dad. Icarus thought she needed a gardener, but the princess didn't mean it that way at all. It seems like she still has a long way to go to get closer to this man. But Lilin is not giving up yet. While they were walking in the garden, she already had some thoughts, and this happened right after she looked around. There are quite a lot of beautiful flowers here. It seems the gardener is well acquainted with the layout of this garden. He constantly modernizes it, does everything here the way he likes, so no one here can know better than him what grows where and what it is called. He feels at home here. You can even feel his energy here, because everything he does for himself, with love. When he noticed her, he said hello and asked how he could help her, because from her interested look, one could understand that she had come here for a reason. The girl clarifies whether she understood correctly that he is a gardener, and said that she is very glad about this meeting, because before they saw each other very little. Then she noticed that he had scratches on his hand, after which she asked what happened to him. He says it's nothing serious, he was just working and cut himself, and he didn't even notice when it happened. Lilin didn't believe it, so she told him, and then asked him to confess what really happened. She assumed that it was the same cat that did it, and the gardener began to justify himself, as if it was not so, and there was no point in him deceiving her. It's strange that he's lying. There's no particular need for it. There's clearly something wrong here. He's definitely keeping something quiet. Perhaps he is hiding the truth because Rose adored the cat, and he doesn't want to upset the princesses that the cat is so bad. The lady tells him that it's okay. He can be honest with her, especially since he's her friend. She won't cover for him for such mistakes. Gardner just now admitted that, frankly speaking, he thinks the cat has recently started to be very aggressive towards people. And he is not the only one. He has also injured some of the maids. Everything is exactly as she thought. It's very good that the gardener said this. Now she has even more evidence that something is wrong with that animal. In that case, she thought, why not patch up the hole so no one else gets hurt? He tells her that if they do this, no one else will get hurt. But there are other things to consider. If they do this, she will never be able to see the cat again. Although the girl understands this perfectly well and would not have suggested anything like this if she was afraid to say goodbye to him. Is sure that she should act as calmly as possible right now. So she said that of course she still loves Joy very much, but the safety of others is much more important now. A lot I heard about Joy bothering other people, and as a princess she believes that she has a duty to protect her people, even though it is sad. But she says it boldly, and understands the consequences. The gardener understood everything, and since this was her wish, he made a hole, as she asked. He also thanked her for thinking about others, and not just herself, like most princesses. Meanwhile, they finally figured it out. She personally supervised everything and can now focus on making a bouquet for Dad. It turns out so beautiful that she would like to put the same one in her room, so that she could admire such beauty every day. Maybe this time she will be able to greet him, as she was unable to do last time. She chooses only the most beautiful flowers to give him the best bouquet he has ever seen. It took much longer than expected. She even had to go outside the territory because there was more choice there. The princess is tired, but she is completely satisfied with the result. The bouquet turned out even better than she wanted. This is a very difficult task, but for the sake of her father, she is ready to spend time on this. And when she does this, she will have to devote more time to her studies, the success in which has already begun to sink. If you think about it, Icarus was next to her all day. Sometimes his presence seemed unnecessary, but he did it for her own safety, for which she is very grateful. Guys literally followed everything that was happening in the area and were not distracted for a second. When he came closer to hint that it was getting dark and it was time to go back, she said that she had something for him. She picked this flower especially for him. She wants him to be happy. This is probably the first flower he has ever been given. He noticed that one of the stems was broken. He said so, and she was, of course, upset, but then said that it was a special flower, and it wasn't about its beauty. She picked it off because its color was similar to the color of his eyes, and that already seemed like a compliment. He was so pleased with this that the guy even wondered for a couple of seconds when he had last heard something like this about himself. She didn't even think that these would be such special words for him. After all, it's very common to compare someone to flowers. After these words, he promised to appreciate this gift and would carry it with him until it withered. She thought that he would just accept it and smile, but everything turned out even better than she planned. It's very pleasant to give gifts to such people. They are very sincerely happy, because this is the most valuable thing they can receive in return. And it also seemed to her that when he suggested going back, his attitude became softer, and that's not surprising. The question arises whether she can regard this as a sign that Icarus has opened up to her a little. In any case, this is only the beginning, and everything will become clear with time. It is too early to judge anything now. When they entered the house, she asked where her father was. It was just about time he was back. Assistant suggested just checking if he was in the office, so as not to stand in the hallway for nothing. It's been a long time since they last met. The princess admits that she's a little worried, but this time she has to keep her promise and approach him first. This time, nothing should spoil the meeting. She opens the door and runs to him with a smile on her face and a bouquet in her hands. He is very surprised and asks what she is doing here, as if everything happened at the wrong time and now is not the best moment. And only when she explained that she had come to give him something, a smile appeared on his face, and all that awkwardness immediately disappeared somewhere. They exchanged positive emotions. The girl shows him this bouquet, tells him how she put it together and how she even came up with this idea. This is her first time, so it didn't turn out very well, but she will be very happy if Dad accepts it. Until now, she cried so much it was shameful, because they did not see each other often, and this shame made her keep her distance. This needs to be stopped now, especially since the girl feels that her dad wants the same thing, only he is an adult, and it is harder for him to do this than for her. He always did only good things for her, so it was time to thank him, showing how much she loves him despite all the problems and difficulties that they experienced as a family. Father was pleasantly surprised. He imagined how she did it with her little hands, and how hard she tried to surprise him. He said that she succeeded. She brightened his day with her attention, and now this bouquet will delight him, morning, day, and night. He also sincerely admitted that this was the most beautiful bouquet he had ever received, and said that she had talent. This is the best thing she could hear from him. All the efforts and worries were justified. The princess is very pleased. A little more, and she will cry with happiness. She is only offended because she did not start saving their relationship earlier. Since it was almost dinner time, my father suggested going out to dinner together. He just didn't have any other important things to do today. Today, she would really like to sit next to him and talk longer. So, of course, she gladly agreed. The princess couldn't be happier that she was no longer embarrassed to hold his hand. She now had that very lightness of heart that she had dreamed of. So, this is what it's like to feel the warmth of someone else's palm. It's just a pity that all this could have happened earlier. But she achieved this only now. When their mother saw them together, she was surprised at what had happened, since the two of them had come here. She asks if their princess has finally become close to her father, as she wanted. The girl said that. Moreover, they were going to have dinner together. But the girl did not expect this. Instead of being happy and allowing them to be together at least for dinner, the queen began to manipulate, asking how a daughter could leave her mother alone. Supposedly it hurt her a lot, and they said that she could actually go with them. No one was stopping her. The queen agreed, but asked after that to leave her alone with her daughter. She needed to say something. She wants her daughter to know that she is very happy that everything is fine with her father now. It's just strange that she couldn't say this in front of everyone. And it's also unclear what kind of manipulation it was. As if she was jealous of her own husband. Despite all this, the girl felt insincerity, and then something began that she only had time to think about. Her mother suddenly said that she was afraid that she had bad news for her. And after that, she told it that, in fact, her sister has been in a depressed mood for several days now, and no one knows why all this is happening. According to her mother, ever since Rose found out she couldn't keep a cat in the palace, she became very withdrawn. Lilin reminded that she did say that she didn't mind seeing that cat. And her mother says that the issue of isolating the cat has already been resolved, so everything is fine. But it would be strange if she was the only one with a pet in this house, so she suggests letting the bird go so that everything would seem fair. Lilin didn't expect to hear that from her. It sounded terribly unpleasant. The princess refuses to even talk about it. She can't believe that her mother is even talking about this. They all know how important it is to her pee-pee. After a while, the princess came to her room. If you think about it, everything becomes obvious. Officially, there is only one princess in the kingdom, and she is the Rose, who has always been listened to. So it is not strange that a princess taking care of a bird and a cat who do not get along with each other would raise doubts. Perhaps, in the eyes of their mother, she and her sister look like spoiled children, but nothing can be done about it. The girl apologizes to the chick. She admits her guilt, that she should have been more careful. It's a shame to admit, but she's apparently not strong enough to protect him. It's not clear if she'll be ordered to say goodbye to him this evening. She wanted to look after him until he fully recovered, but something wasn't working out. And then the question came out of nowhere. Then why don't you leave me? She didn't understand what it was. They were in this room alone, and it was some kind of unusual voice. She had never heard it before. Pippi started waving his hand at her and asked why she was looking back, since he was right in front of her. For her, it was something like mysticism. She had never heard a bird talk. It was very unexpected. She was even scared of him. It turns out that he really is special and has been hiding it all this time because he understood her and everyone else. The girl even compared him to a parrot, and he got offended and started talking very aggressively, because for someone like him, hearing something like that is very offensive. He says that he didn't even guess approximately and asks how she dared to compare him to a parrot. The princess asks who he is then, and now she is afraid to approach him. You never know what might happen. He says that she doesn't need to know this yet, especially since there is something much more important than this. The chick asks if she accidentally said that she would protect him, hinting that someone would keep their promise. She explains that she would be happy to, but she cannot go against her mother's wishes. She is the queen, after all. Immediately after this, Pee-Pee got so angry that his face even turned red. He clearly did not agree with her decision. Only after this did he finally begin to say something interesting, something that was the truth, namely, that she would still need him, and their meeting was not accidental. The girl asks what he means because she is already confused, and he replies that if she lets him go free, his sister will definitely try to take revenge on him, and if something happens to him, something terrible will happen to the kingdom. And it will be an irreversible process, and no one will help. The princess somehow didn't expect to hear this from him. He clearly knows what he's talking about, but it's not clear yet whether so much depends on him. He's just a little bird she saved. At least, that's what she used to think. Pee-Pee explains that he can't yet tell her the details she needs so much, but everything has its time. He can only say one thing. If she wants to know, you must protect him in every possible way. In her past life, there was nothing like this. She never met a talking bird, and did not hear about the danger approaching the kingdom. Perhaps protecting this chick will be another turning point in this life. She was still able to promise him that she would try to find a way to protect him, but he reminded her that it was not he who needed it, but first and foremost, she herself. For starters, he first suggested changing the way she addressed him, although the princess didn't think he disliked anything. He says that he didn't like the way she called him from the very first day. His name is not something like Pee-Pee, his name is Jan. He flew up to her and asked her to call him only that way, and nothing else, if she, of course, wanted a good relationship with him. If he even once hears something other than his name, he will also call her something else. Evening came. Time flew by, very unnoticed. All this time they were talking, and the princess even forgot about what was outside her room. And in the meantime, he offers to discuss with her what concerns his defense. Apparently, he has some ideas. It turns out that when he spoke for protection, he meant so that she wouldn't make him sick by running through the corridors, which makes him sick. He couldn't talk about it before, but now he finally, freely complains that it's uncomfortable for him. She probably doesn't feel it, but for him it feels much stronger. He literally gets a headache every time she wears him. She tells him that they are going to meet her dad because it is useless to talk to her mom. She will never change her mind. And they really need this book. The princess will ask Dad to read it, so it will be much easier to find a compromise. Jan says he doesn't quite understand what she means, and she asks him not to be so slow. They don't have much time. As if he'll learn everything as he goes along. She saw him at the end of the corridor, screamed for him to notice her. And what do you think? She didn't succeed. He just turned around at that moment and saw that his beloved princess was trying to catch up with him. He approached her to ask what brought her here at such a time, and she said that she wanted to ask him for something. Father hugged her and asked what their little princess wanted to ask him.